your host, Samantha Stone. And I should have worn orange. You will all see shortly all of our fabulous guests have orange on, well, except for Scott, but we give him a pass because he comes on all the time. Actually, might be wearing a little orange in his tie. We'll see
Yeah, right
on a little bit later. Thank you all for joining us. We've got some great resources and people and things to talk about what's going on in the city. Before we jump into that, I just want to give a great big thank you on behalf of Karen Dion and myself for the blood drive that was this past week here in Woburn. We collected 33 units of blood, which can actually support up to 100 patients because the way the blood is plasma and all kinds of things are taken apart from it, things that somebody smarter than me figures out how to do, but really super grateful for all the folks who have done that. The other thing I just want to let folks know is I am hosting a Ukraine relief cooking class. A woman in the Ukraine who I met through a friend of mine is going to be teaching us 2 traditional dishes. She is safe and has reliable internet access and is really super excited to share her culture with us as long as it remains safe to do that. And that'll be this Saturday. So if anybody would like an invitation to that, it's completely free to participate, just a great way to learn. We are taking optional donations to go to a charity of her choice, but donations are not required. So if you'd like to join us for that, send me an email at todayinwoburn@gmail.com and I will share the course information with you. With that, welcome, Scott.
Hey, good intro there. Yeah, that's great. Congratulations to Karen for the blood. I missed it. I apologize. I wish I was there. I missed the date.
Yeah, no, you know what? This particular blood drive was in real daytime hours. So it was hard. We know it was hard for a lot of folks who are in the office during the day to make it. And it was just the time the Red Cross staff was available. So
yeah,
appreciate the good thoughts. And there will be lots more drives in the future. Excellent. So the warmer weather has a lot of people questioning about our roads. And we know this is the time of year we start to fix things and prioritize what road work will be get done. And I did not expect you to list all of that off the top of your head, Scott.
Good, I'm glad.
Right, that would be, if you did, I'd be a little worried.
Yeah.
But what I was hoping is you might be able to help direct our audience where they can go for that information, whether it's available now or it will be in the future. Where can people look?
It will be available in the future, and I'm glad you brought up one of the things that we do want to talk about is road work is something that we never catch up to, and communities never catch up to just because of the funding and the the available resources that have to be spread to all different types of services that we provide, but. Just as a way of background information, the roads are funded in part by Chapter 90 grant funding from the state, and we get the same amount of money every year, which we've probably been getting for as long as I can remember. We get like $1.2 million from the state in the form of a grant that's to be used for our roads. We have been supplementing that with a $750,000 appropriation that the city council puts forward. So we spend close to $2 million a year on roads, resurfacing, sidewalks, and as you know, it doesn't go around the whole city. So we have a pavement management system, as well as supplemented by DPW crews who know the back roads and whatnot. But the pavement management system does a rating of the roads, based on they get out there themselves, and they also use the GIS mapping to do the road conditions. So we try to stick to that as closely as we can, but sometimes and we like to do the main roads. That's where the liability comes from, and quite honestly, that's where people have a harder time avoiding potholes. But back roads do take a back seat to the highly traveled roads, and that's what we try to let people know. And you don't have to go any further than my own street to see that. That's something in progress. But we try to get to them, and sometimes you will find that a road that's not as much in need, that if we're paving a street that is in need and there's one that's right off of that, then we end up doing that too, just because of the cost savings to do it. But we are working on the list. We're hopeful, and Rich Haggerty's been great. We're hopeful that the state in their supplemental appropriation comes up with some more funding for Chapter 90 roads, and they have in the past. So we're hoping for a little bit more winter recovery funding And that'll, add some dollars to the pot. And, hopefully we have a little bit more than usual to spend.
Well, that would be great. And I know that we've talked in the past about, overall federal infrastructure grants that sort of get trickled down through the state to us. And so, we'll always be keeping track of that. And Rich is a great representation for us to go in there and to go get that. So thanks for that update. It is hard when you live on a less traveled road. For sure, we understand the challenges that are that, and sounds like just continue to make people aware of any dangerous situations and that the system attempts to make its best.
And the DPW is great on the Q alert. That's our report of concern. If they do see potholes, we do encourage residents to go onto the city's website or call my office or the DPW and just report where the pothole is, and the DPW has a great turnaround time. They're usually out within 24 to 48 hours. They do a great job with the potholes.
Yeah, and this is the time of year we see a lot of that, right? Because the roads, they were frozen and they get warmer and all the snow starts to melt and the plows are done plowing and things, everybody's spring cleaning. Just like this is, we see them all the time, but they become particularly visible right now. So to help out the DPW crew knew where they need to go. So awesome. Thanks for that. I want to talk a little bit about warmer weather. So this past year, we had the return of our Flag Day festivities, but it happened was it September, I feel like? Around
September.
Yeah. So do you know if we're expected to have it closer to Flag Day this year, or has any rumblings of permits and stuff happened?
My last conversation with the Kiwanis is they were going to continue to do it in September. They liked it better in September, and they were getting away from the June date. Now that could change, but I spoke to a couple of the offices in the Kiwanis, and they felt that it was a much nicer event in September. So they plan on focusing their efforts. And again, that could change. That was my discussion with a couple of the offices. So we'll see what happens. But I do know. I met Friday with David Crowley and Phil Gordon from over at the library. Not Phil's not from the library, but he's with David. They were
the SCI. Why am I blanking on the name?
SCI, right.
It's SCI.
So
Social Capital Inc. I got it.
Yeah, and they're getting their plans ready for the June 19th, which will be. They want to make they want to gradually increase the size. And this year they've got plans to make it larger than last year. So that's kind of an exciting event. That'll be, the June 19th, which is they're going to do it on a Saturday this year. So should be a nice event.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to what they're doing. They had a great event for the first one last year. And I know now they have more time and we have fewer restrictions. So it'll be even bigger and better. I think that's awesome. A couple other little community things just to mention. So we've got a lot of, you might have been seeing communications for Adopt a Senior. These are not our elderly citizens, but our high school seniors.
Oh, great.
That program started during the pandemic because there was no graduation and prom and all of that. And they thought it was a nice thing, but it was such a nice touching way for the community to support high school seniors and send them off to whatever comes next, military, job, schooling. That I think there's, folks who want to continue that. So if you are interested in adopting a senior, there's Facebook pages for that, and definitely encourage you to do that. We also announced Woburn Rec. I don't know if you saw this, Scott, the community yard sale in May is coming up.
That'll be a good event. Yeah.
So you want to do your spring cleaning and you got a lot of stuff that is, your junk, but someone else's treasure, as I think my mom used to say when we'd go yard sailing.
Yep.
It's a great opportunity. If you've never participated before, basically what happens is Woburn Rec creates a map, and there's a small, I think there's a fee. I'm not sure if there's a fee, but you apply to be put on the map, and then, folks can go and there's tons of yard sales on the same day. And it's a great opportunity to get some treasures and to clean out your own stuff. So definitely check that out on Woburn Rec. Last question for you that I had, Scott, was around library trustees. So a few weeks back, we spoke, you were working on the next set of trustee nominations. And I think this is we said spring, we'd be starting to see that happening. I know it's still a little early spring, but
this will be too, my plan is that we've got a submittal, city council's next meeting is April 5th. So my plan is to get a submittal that will be for the first reading for the April 5th.
Perfect. Well, we'll talk more about that as that
Yep.
comes to be. Thank you. Awesome. Anything else you want to
Yeah,
touch
just,
base on?
you know, 2 or 3 quick items. Number one, I appointed a new veterans director. That's Bob Davis. He's a Woburn resident, Woburn grad. He's a great guy. You can have him on your show sometime, but he's a Marine veteran and used to work for Comcast and outreach. So he'd be a nice guy to bring on. Excited about his taking over for Larry. So he's a good one. We had our results, our quarterly results of PFAS were very encouraging. You know, we're still on the same track to remove our, you know, PFAS down at the water treatment plant, but our, you know, our testing results came in for an average of just over 13 parts per trillion, which is well under the 20 parts per trillion. So that's good news for our residents and our water supply. And that all that information is on the city website. So we encourage, again, all your listeners to go on there and take a look. But again, that's good news for the short term. Long term, we're still looking at, you know, getting PFAS down to 0. So again, that's their COVID numbers continue to go down, way down. You know, as fast as they went up, that's how fast they've coming down. That information is on the city's website. Vaccination rates are creeping up every week, which is really important considering that, you know, there are rumblings about the other variant making its way over to, you know, the United States from overseas. So we have to keep our eye on that. I think I had 1 or 2 other things, but there's a lot of great things, as you had mentioned, a lot of great things coming up in April, May. You know, the city's going to be doing, I think you might remember, we did the art contest. We partnered with the historical society. That's Kathy Lucero and her great group of historians. They're again going to be in the schools doing an art contest. We'll be putting up all the 200 winners will be up again around the common. Their flags, artwork will be on the flag. So that's an exciting event we're looking forward to. And so there's a lot of good things happening. It's good to be heading back into normal, but a lot of great things happening.
Yeah, those flags were so fun. If you recall those, if you walked around the city center, they were, you know, the little banners that we often have for events and other special occasions, but they were all artwork that had been submitted by Woburn students. And it was really fun to go around the city and see all those really cool interpretations of history and such. So really awesome. And I'm sure Jen will get in touch with them to learn a little bit more and share that.
Yeah, Kathy, I'll get her Kathy's number. She should reach out to her. That'd be a good one.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Scott, for joining us. I agree with you. It feels like a renewed thing to go into the spring with not just some activity, but kind of being back to our festive selves. So
very busy weekends are coming, so we'll get used to it.
I love it. Let's get ourselves really tired and then take naps. Thanks, Scott, for joining us.
Thanks, Samantha.
I'm going to have Jan and Sue join us next. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. We're going to talk about a really important cause, which is multiple sclerosis. Sorry, I'm going to mispronounce that 6 times today, so you'll have to correct me. Awareness Month. And I'm really excited because, first of all, you guys are wearing your orange, which is awesome. But I want to talk a little bit about what that means and why. So, Jan, why don't we start with you? We had a declaration that was made, right, by the city.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So March is National MS Awareness Month. So I emailed the mayor and asked Mayor Galvin if he would be so kind as to sign a proclamation for the city of Woburn, and could he facilitate turning all the lights in the common orange for the month of March. And response from his office was incredibly prompt, and they even had wording for a proclamation, which was great because as soon as I asked, I was kind of going, where will I find this proclamation? But yeah, his office came up with the wording for the proclamation and then set it up for the evening of March 1st. So he met with a bunch of me and Sue, who's here with us today, and several other local MS activists. And we met in his office and did a photo op, and then had an opportunity to see the lights on the common all turn orange for the month. So it's been wonderful.
That is a really super exciting opportunity. Jan, what sort of inspired you to get involved in MS awareness?
If we go way back to the early 1990s, I was diagnosed with MS, and I have been an incredibly fortunate MS patient in that the course of my disease has been very mild. But as I've worked on the board of trustees for the Greater New England MS Society, I've done a lot of fundraising over the past 25 years. Most specifically, I run the Boston Marathon every year for the MS Society. But I really felt this year that I don't know where people are with their donations and where I will be with my fundraising, but I felt like it's important. Another important part of my advocacy is to bring MS awareness to my local community, that I support national activities, but bringing it right into our local community with opportunities like this, Samantha, and opportunities like the Mayor's Proclamation just seemed like a good way to help the city of Woburn recognize MS and the value of the advocacy that we do. And to that end, I actually met two new to me MS activists right here in Woburn who have been supporting MS causes and participating in events for several years. And they're right here in my town, and I didn't even know they existed. So it was a great opportunity, a great way to meet some new people.
Really worthwhile. Thank you for sharing that, Jan. I love it. Sue, thanks for joining us today. Tell us a little bit about what inspired you to get involved in MS awareness.
Thank you for having me. I went to a music school, and in the early 80s, 3 of my musician friends were diagnosed with MS. And I just did what I could to help them and stayed in touch with them. And unfortunately witnessed firsthand the effect of MS on each of them. And then I was at the gym, and on Oldies 103, I heard an ad for the Challenge Walk MS Cape Cod. And this was 2003. And I thought, well, I love to walk and I love Cape Cod and I have friends with MS, so this is a no-brainer. And I signed up for my first Challenge Walk MS Cape Cod, which is a 50-mile walk over 3 days.
Wow.
And that was 19 years ago. So I've completed 19 years and I have wonderful, loyal sponsors. And this fundraising has become my life's work.
Well, thank you for that. And I hope you have good Band-Aids and sneakers as well to walk like that.
Yes.
That's no joke. Thank you for your contributions to the community and helping spread awareness. Jan, I know that a lot of people are familiar with MS, and either maybe they know someone in their community or it's an illness that a lot of people hear about. But I think most of us don't really understand what it is. And so I know everybody's condition is different, but for those folks who might not be familiar, can you just tell us a little bit about MS and what it means to have that?
Sure, thanks. That's a great question. MS, it's an autoimmune disease, and it truly is one of those diseases where people often look at people who have MS and say, but you look so well, because people with MS can look like me and be running marathons, while people with MS can also have some rather significant neurological, muscular, and cognitive disabilities that greatly impact their life, with needing wheelchairs, needing physical assistance, needing personal care assistance in order to live their very best life. So it's a pretty wide range of disability and symptoms and appearances within people. And so you truly do feel sometimes like when, I mean, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I have MS because I can run marathons. And yet I take immune suppressant medications, and I see a neurologist and I get my MRI scans because there is stuff going on neurologically. But it is a neurological disease affecting the central nervous system, and can cause weakness, numbness, balance issues, cognitive and memory issues for people. And the other thing that we know now is MS occurs in children. We used to say that it was the crippler of young adults, kind of diagnosed in your 20s and 30s. But we now know that MS occurs with some frequency in children, and we diagnose it as young as 7 and 8 years old.
Wow, I didn't actually realize that changed. I also know it's a disease that often has, for some people with it, has moments of remission almost, where you sort of symptom free, and then something will happen, and they might have a really tough period. And for some patients that I know, that's particularly hard because, to your point, they walk around every day, and most people see them as healthy, when in fact they might have this really challenging situation happening.
Thank you. That is so true, and thank you for bringing that up, because there are two forms of MS. There is the relapsing remitting, which is exactly what you're talking about, where you are fine, and then you have an attack or a flare that might be a period of weakness or a period of loss of sensation in your feet, or something going on that will be there for a while. They're often treatable with prednisone or steroids. Sometimes they're not treated at all. They flare and then they go away. The other form of MS is progressive MS, and progressive MS is a condition where you have a flare, but you don't get better from it, or you don't get all better from it. And so you're continually losing ground in your wellness and continually getting worse and needing more help. Both of those are MS courses of disease that can happen, and you can change from relapsing remitting to primary progressive.
Thank you for sharing that detail with us. Sue, give us a sense about how many people are impacted by MS in general. What are some of the, how common is it?
Well, unfortunately, it's very common. Up to 1 million, almost 1 million people in the US have MS, and 2.8 million people worldwide. So this is a real, we just need the research. We need to keep funding the research, and we will. And there are very smart people out there working very hard to deal with this. And that's what we're happy for.
I love it. Sue, where can people learn more? I know you've talked about some ways that you've personally been involved. Where are some good resources that people can check out if they want to learn more or get more active in supporting the cause?
Well, the National MS Society is one of the best organizations I've ever had the pleasure of working with and being affiliated with. So people can go to their website and the help is there. It's literally www.nmss.org. And there are many, many ways of reaching out to people and getting the help that you need, or just getting questions answered. And there's so many events, like Jan runs the marathon. I do the challenge walk on Cape Cod. I also do the Boston MS walk, which is just like a 3-mile walk. And it'll be the first.
Oh yeah, nothing compared to 50 miles,
yeah,
right?
That's right. And it'll be the first one in 2 years because of COVID. And it's April 3rd in Boston, and I'll be walking with a team. I work for UBS, and I get a team together, and we walk together just to have fun. There are one-day walks all over the Commonwealth and New England, and there are bike events. There are so many different, there's Climb to the Top, which Jan knows more about than I do. I think this year it's at Gillette Stadium. It's just really fun ways for people to come together and for people to donate if they'd like to, or just participate if that's all they want to do. And wearing orange is very important.
In Woburn, be well prepared to do, right? We got plenty of orange in town.
And I walk in orange. I'm sure Jan does her running in orange. I wear my hats, my MS jackets. And honestly, it really does prompt conversation with people. Total strangers will come up to me and say, gee, do you have MS, or are you affiliated with it? And why are you wearing that jacket? And it's just a way to start a conversation. A conversation with so many facets of life is a way to start good things.
Well, thank you for sharing that experience. And I love that people ask questions when you're out sporting jackets and stuff. That's what it's all about. Before we wrap up, Jan, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about any ways that we as a community can help raise awareness for the cause, support, marathon, anything that you want to share, ways that we can sort of take an action today if we've inspired folks to want to do more.
Sure. The thing that we need, as Sue mentioned, we are fundraising, and there are many, many people who are participating in the events that Sue mentioned, and each one of them is raising money through that event for MS. I think, and you can find those by going to www.mmss.org and support a participant. And you can find opportunities to donate through the MS website. I think it's in the 25 or 26 years that I've been involved, I think the thing that is the most amazing to me is that through the fundraising efforts of MS activists like Sue, like me, like the people that I met in the mayor's office a couple weeks ago, through those fundraising efforts, we've gone from a time when there were no medications to treat MS to a time now when there are more than 23 medications. Some of them are oral, so there are pills that you can take now rather than injections and infusions. And I think the most striking piece of progress that we have is that our mission statement now from the National MS Society now says that we will cure MS. That used to be a dream, but it is part of our mission now. We will cure MS. And that's because of people who went to nmss.org and found a way to participate, found a way to get their questions answered, found a way to maybe help out a support group or just show up at an event and volunteer for a while. You don't have to donate. You can just be a volunteer. Look at any one of our events. I go and do registration at the bike ride because I would never ride a bike 150 miles. I can't imagine it. But I can do registration. So I show up and volunteer. That helps the cause. It helps the mission. So any way that
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Encourage all of our audience to go learn more, support our community. Sue and Jan, thank you for joining me. I want to next bring up another fabulous woman in orange. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you so much, Samantha.
So I never thought I would ever say this in my entire life, but Angela managed to make me want to go to nursing school. I will never actually, don't think I have the skill set to do that. But I was so touched hearing about your gorgeous young lady. Tell us a little bit about your daughter and who she is.
Well, I have two beautiful young ladies, Ayla and Sierra. They are both 8.5, soon to be 9 next month. So more than 8.5. But Ayla, you know, she's one of the state's most medically fragile kids. And she is just the light of my life, and really kind of thrusted me into the advocacy space, because when you have so many different medical needs with her diagnosis, she has what's called Townes-Brock syndrome. It's really kind of complicated and rare. But it affects her feeding and her ability to walk. She doesn't walk, she doesn't feed, eat by mouth. She's nonverbal, so, but she certainly has her own way of communicating and sharing her needs and wants, and she's just a beautiful little girl. And we love, supporting her in all of her needs. She has about 16 doctors at Boston Children's, so it's a lot to manage that care. She has about 16 therapists at school and teachers. So when you hear, it takes a village to raise a child, it truly does for Ayla. And when she has the support she's approved to have, she's able to have a very high quality of life and be the happy girl that she's meant to be. So
I want to play the video that made me want to become a nurse, because I think you're absolutely right. You can see immediately that smile and how much she can communicate with the world. So we'll have our producer play that for us. I just want to cry when I see that, Angela, and I want to cry, not because I'm sad. I'm sad because you don't have the resources you need to support Ayla in the way that she deserves, but also clearly all this love and all this possibility bundled up there with your family. There's a home care shortage of resources that have made it really hard for her and for your family. Tell us a little bit about what home care nursing allows you to have that we're missing right now.
Yeah, home care nursing for us families like mine is really a lifeline, and it allows not only for Ayla to receive the medically necessary services she needs to be safe and well in the home and community, it allows our family to act as just family and not mom and dad aren't the medical providers, and we have to do all of her medical interventions. And so Ayla is approved to receive 64 hours of home care nursing from the state, and we have not been able to fill any of those nursing hours. And the skilled nursing is the highest of the home care, and there's a home care shortage across the industry. So skilled nursing, home health aides, personal care attendants. So caregivers right now are just under incredible stress and pressure. And certainly caring for a loved one is a labor of love. But when you're not receiving any additional supports and respite and compensation for services that you know your child or loved one should be getting, it deeply, the domino effect on the family is tremendous. And certainly for that individual, it just affects their ability to go to school, to engage in the community, to go to work. And for my little girl, Ayla, not having nursing, she has not been able to access her education, since COVID really hit. So home care, the shortage was a problem before the pandemic, and it just exacerbated everything with pulling nurses from the home care industry into the hospital, or nurses just not going back to work at all due to the stresses. So it's a real problem that it's going to take a long time to recover, and that's a big area of advocacy I've been working on since Ayla was born. But this is not being able to go to school has been crushing. It's really been crushing.
I can't imagine. That's a really, really, really long time. And many of us had a tiny, tiny sliver of experience having to be remote schooled and didn't, and this is just a whole nother level of isolation. And you're an amazing family who is taking care of her in incredible ways, but that burden is awfully heavy on you. My hope is that someone watches this or sees this in some other way and knows someone that can help your family. But also, more critically, I hope this and other stories inspire people to go into nursing. I actually just found out, totally by coincidence today, that the high school senior that I have adopted through the Adopt a Senior program that we were talking about is actually going to nursing school. And that just made me so happy to hear that. And I have a niece who's a nurse and know many. It's just not enough. So our hope is that will be there. I can't imagine the frustration when you have the funding to pay and we just can't find someone to be there. Is there anything that we as a community can do to help support you and your family, in addition to helping spread the word and try and expand universal?
Well, that's one of the main areas, is just making sure Ayla's story is known and sharing who she is as a child, and knowing that we have children in our community and families like mine who are often forgotten about and slip through the cracks. So it's really important that why I shared that video, to Facebook, is to really, for the community to know her and fall in love with her the way that, our family has, and just want better for her, and to care for her, because when we all care for each other, people act, and action is one of the most important things people can do. I was fortunate enough to get calls from elected officials. We had Rep. Haggerty called me after that video aired, and he was making some phone calls to see, just what he could do, as well as school committee members. And so people calling the elected officials, calling the special education department. I think everybody is trying to do the best that they can, and I've been very happy with Woburn Special Education. This is something that they can't snap their hands at either and resolve quickly, but they're doing the best to think creatively and support our family. But it's just word of mouth, sharing, being engaged in politics at the local level as well as state level. We have a lot of good legislation to support caregivers, to support the direct care workforce. So there's multiple levels, but just getting to know my little girl and seeing her out in the community and caring about her, and when you're discussing issues at every table, that you remember families like mine and children like her.
I love that. And I think so often when we think about people who are going to nursing, we think of hospitals and doctors' offices and things. And I know I completely, not that I ignored, I just don't know about the home care needs, other than I did have experience helping with my elderly father-in-law at one point, but and that was challenging and hard. And we didn't even need the kind of skilled care that we're talking about. So I really hope that she gets the support she needs and deserves soon, and any ways that we as a community can raise awareness and support, not just your family, but all the families who are in the situation. Please continue to advocate and know we're there. You're looking incredible. We know that you've been through your own journey and health challenges this year, and you've been very open about sharing that. And that just makes this that much harder. And you're a total inspiration to me personally, but I know to lots and lots of people. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Samantha. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share more. It's just so important. And, I would also say that I think, there's the Special Education Advisory Council, there's the Mass Commission, the Commission on Disabilities that the mayor just appointed several volunteers to. So those of us in the community, the more we share our concerns, the more we're heard, the more people, understand the issues, because you're right, a lot of people just don't know about it. And so trying to be a voice for the vulnerable is really important, and being there for each other. That's what community is all about. If there's one thing that my breast cancer journey has just totally cemented in my mind and heart, it's how critical community is. And I'm grateful to be in Woburn. So, you know,
Yeah. Well, thank you. As a community, we've talked about adaptive playgrounds. We've talked about Woburn rec programs. There's a survey right now trying to collect input. That is a separate thing from sort of the very basic day-to-day care that Ayla deserves, but all tied together and caring about each other. So thank you all for joining me. We've had some really special guests who raised some great things for us. Really appreciate the mayor as always coming on and giving us an update about a whole bunch of things. And as always, Woburn, please continue to take good care of each other.